Imagine two construction workers. They both work grueling days underneath the summer sun, and when they go home, all they want to do is sink into their sofa and watch TV and Netflix and eat popcorn and eat shit food. But they both made plans to train in the gym daily in order to achieve their physique goals. The first one disciplines himself to go into the gym regardless of how he feels. He feels that temptation to sink into the sofa and to binge watch his favorite show after work. His body is sore, his muscles hurt, but he goes to the gym. He puts music in his ear and he runs to the gym every single day. He does his workouts and he feels the pain. His muscles are already sore from the day of work that he's just had, but yet he trains regardless. He has every reason to quit, but he doesn't because he made a promise to himself. The second one, however, is a different story. The first thing he does whenever he gets home from work is sink straight into the sofa and turn on Netflix. He gets his favorite snacks and he sits there. He remembers that he made a promise to himself, but he tells himself, I'm too tired from work, I'll do it in an hour. An hour passes, but he hasn't gotten up yet. And then another hour passes, and another, until eventually it's dark. And he tells himself, well, I have no more time to do it today, so I guess I'll just do it tomorrow. And the cycle repeats itself every single day. The first man disciplines himself to train every single day, regardless of how he feels. He feels the same as the second man. He feels all the tiredness, the fatigue, the pain, but he trains anyway. Or the second man, he feels that pain and he uses it as an excuse to sit there and do nothing all day. Let me ask you this. After a couple months, who will have made more progress? The first man who's disciplined himself to train every single day, or the second man who feels that same pain but uses it as an excuse? Before we get into the video, I want to tell you a little something about myself first. My name's Kalen, and I make these videos in order to document my journey, and I do it with the hope that you, the viewer, will learn something from them. However, I want to benefit from this too, so in return for the advice you get from this video and any other video I make, I want you to scroll down and click the subscribe button next to my channel name. It helps the channel out, it helps us grow, and it shows our videos to more people, so that more people will see them and be helped by them. With that out of the way, let's get into my story. In summer 2023, I worked as a lifeguard down by a lake. I was in a very similar situation to the construction workers that I mentioned in the intro, where I had a goal to bulk up by the end of the year. See, I was a very scrawny guy back then. I weighed about 55 kilograms. Any gust of wind could have pushed me down. It was terrible. There were many times when actually I was walking and a gust of wind just came over, and when I tell you I was pushed to like the end of the path, it was crazy. I was so skinny and so weak. So I had a goal to start training and to bulk up to like, I think, well, I don't think I actually set a proper goal, but I wanted to bulk up. But you see, I didn't realize how draining my work would be. Because as you could probably guess, being a lifeguard is a very physical job. You're constantly swimming around, pulling people out the water, just, especially on a lake and aqua park, you're swimming back and forth, back and forth, back and forth between the pontoon and the actual park itself. It was very draining, especially for someone as weak and unfit as I was. Because yeah, I was running at the time, but swimming also works your muscles, not just your cardiovascular muscles. So it was a lot more fatiguing than I thought it would be. Like there were some days when I would come back from the shift and I would just like slump down on my chair, feeling like I was about to fall asleep because I was just so drained by how much physical activity I did that day. So I used those as an excuse to not train. I told myself that I just couldn't do it because I was so drained and recovery and all that. I just didn't want to. Well, I just didn't want to feel fatigued for my shift tomorrow, because like the training is going to be so hard and it's going to tear my muscles, and I just won't be able to handle it. I won't be able to swim, for as long as I need to. I just made all these excuses in my mind as to why I couldn't start working out. And yeah, my whole summer went by and I didn't do a single workout because of these excuses. I was just playing it around in my mind as well. I was like, I'll tell people like, yeah, I'm gonna start working out. I'm gonna start doing calisthenics. Getting nice, big and strong. And then they would ask me why I haven't started already, and I told them like, recovery. I just want to be able to do my work properly. I want to be on my 100% physical peak when I get to my work. Because if there's an emergency, I need to be able to swim over really fast, and so I can't do that if I'm still tired and sore from my training. And I just ended up doing nothing. And I see a lot of people in that same position that I was in back then. They want to achieve something, they want to start working out, they want to quit an addiction, but they think their situation doesn't allow for it. They make the same excuse as I did. Maybe not the exact same, but they make a similar excuse, right? Like, oh, all my friends smoke weed, so if I don't smoke weed too, I won't fit in. Or, oh, my work is really tiring. Like, I'm just so sore afterwards. I just can't train. And then they just end up doing nothing like I did. They make no progress. Well, they're coping, quite simply. And I was coping back then too, because after I finished my season as a lifeguard, like after summer, I started training because I no longer had the excuse. I was put into an environment where there were no excuses, so I started. And I realized it wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. Like, yeah, sure, for the first like week, my muscles were sore like basically every day, but after that, it's like, it's fine. I would, I'd be sore for the rest of the day after working out, but I would wake up the next day and I didn't feel tired at all. But the fact is, you just need to push through the initial pain. Like, say if you're trying to quit an addiction, right? Like, sure, if all your friends are smoking, like, you're gonna feel that pull, right? Like, if you quit the weed, you're gonna feel the addiction still. You're gonna feel the withdrawal symptoms. You're gonna want to smoke again. Like, if all your friends are smoking, you're gonna see them smoking, and you're gonna want to do it again. But if you push past that, it's not that bad. Like, yeah, you can still go out with your friends, and if they're smoking, like, that's on them. But you don't have to smoke at that point, and you can still talk to them. You can still kind of fit in, right, without the weed. And if you're working out, well, if you want to work out like I did, and you're in that kind of situation, sure, you'll come home, you'll feel tired after your work, your body's sore. But if you just keep pushing past that, it's gonna hurt, yeah. It's gonna feel really tiring, it's gonna be really hard. But if you just keep going, your body's going to adapt at some point, right? It's not gonna hurt as much. Your body's gonna get stronger, you're gonna be able to handle more and more and more until all of a sudden it's like the workout's just nothing to you now, right? Well, not really nothing, but you can do it just fine. You'll realize like everything was just an excuse. It was in your mind. There was never a reason why you couldn't do it. But you just need to push past the initial pain of starting. Like, that's the thing. The hardest part is the start. After that, it's fine. And if you think about it too much, you're just going to end up procrastinating it, right? Because here's the thing. Like I said before, it's all in your mind. It's all right here. The reason you haven't started is because you keep thinking up excuses as to why you can't start. It's like I said before, like you're thinking like if you want to quit weed, like like all my friends smoke, right? So what if I just don't fit in? Like everyone else is going to be smoking and drinking and all that, and I'll just be sat there as the one sober guy. I'm going to be the weird one, right? Like that's an excuse. That's in your mind. And like with the workout, it's like your body's sore. Like so what? It's in your mind. All in your mind. Now I know this is a short video. I just wanted to get something out to be honest, because I'm working on something much bigger right now, and you'll see that at the end of the week. Now I know the work is hard and the progress is slow, But remember, you only lose when you give up.